Hello. I hate to stop that Offenbach piece, so I wanted it to play out to the end. And actually, it's left me 2 minutes short of the time to start. But who cares? We're here now anyway, aren't we? So I hope you're all well. Let me see. I've got no chats coming through. I'm trying to get everything to appear on the screen in front of me, rather than looking at something else, another screen, or switching between screens on the PC, or I mean, the best I've come up with so far is looking at my phone. So I've got the stream up live on my phone, I suppose, like you have. So it's always a couple of minutes, or maybe, I don't know, is it a matter of seconds, maybe 10 or 20 seconds or something. There's a bit of a gap between me speaking and seeing myself speak, if you see what I mean. So yes, I'm here, and hello. I know that a couple of you are already here. Emmanuel, you're here from Switzerland, isn't that right? I think I remember you saying that you're from Switzerland. Forgive me for being forgetful, but I'm kind of, it's always a bit of a stressful time when you're starting to go live. So I hope you're here with me. Let me see what else is going on. So while I'm waiting for other people to join, and I hope they do, and when you do join, please do announce your presence. It's nice not to be speaking into the ether, if you know what I mean, because whatever you're staring at now was me blathering on, but what I'm staring at is a Logitech webcam and a computer screen, and then I have all my painting stuff there. I've got my I've got an iPad type thing there, and what else have I got? I've got my palette down there. You see this camera here? This is the one that I keep knocking, and while I'm painting, so the brush handle just whacks it sometimes, so you get these kind of fluttering images of where it shouldn't be. Okay, so I'm going to wait here. Crap. Oh, do you know what I should be doing? I should be recording this, shouldn't I? Must be recording this. Yes. Okay. So here I am recording. That's it. I think that's all set up now. So I record it to my PC as well, because that way I get a better image. The YouTube video is good, but the one that comes from my PC is much clearer. I suppose it doesn't have to sort of contend with the vagaries of the internet stream, the broadband. How are you doing, Emmanuel? I just mentioned you a couple of minutes ago. So, am I right in saying that you're viewing from Switzerland? Is that right? I've probably got to wait a couple of minutes before you actually respond to that. But I'll keep an eye on what happens. And if you are indeed in Switzerland, I'd love to know what the scenery is that surrounds you. I have very fond memories of being there. When I was 10, I told you before, I went to Brienz. I think we stayed in Interlaken. I think Brienz was the nearest larger town. Not so long ago that I can't remember. And we had wonderful weather, and we went up. And now I can't remember this either. I remember there was one mountain called, maybe called the Matterhorn, and there was another one called the Jungfrau. But I'm not sure where those are. Were those in the vicinity? We went all the school kids together. Oh, here we go. Oh, good. Yes, teacher in Switzerland. Okay, with a name like Emmanuel Power, you've got to be from Ireland, though, surely. Yeah, Geneva. Okay, I was in Geneva once. I went to Valais, which is a canton in Switzerland, and we played music, because I played traditional Irish music. I was playing mostly the flute at that time, and we formed a band, and we got an invitation out to an Irish music festival in Valais, and it was really very wonderful. It was quite sort of, how would you say, ad hoc and a bit chaotic, but that wasn't their fault. That was probably more us. And that was the year before I got married, and we were going to 94 in fact, And then when we went to it was kind of well accepted, and we were invited back the next year, but I couldn't because I was getting married. That was it. So rather than sort of forego getting married, I went to France to get married. So let me have a look, see what you've said there, Emmanuel. Jura on one side, which is France, isn't it, if I'm correct, and Alps the other. But, oh God, this is bloody awful. Oh yeah, there we go. But love the lakesides, yeah. Jungfrau, name is Irish, sing a few songs. Oh, you do the singing? Oh, right, okay, the Fields of Athenry. Yeah, okay. I wonder, have you heard of John Spillane? He's a singer-songwriter from Cork, and there's a song that he wrote, and he's very poetic anyway. You know, he's contemporary. He's very poetic. He's got strong roots in the traditional world, and he wrote a song. Those were magic nights in the Lobby Bar, which is a bar in Cork City, isn't it? And the first line contains a reference to a fellow that I actually knew in London, the same as me, London Irish. And those were magic nights in the Lobby Bar when Brendan Ring played Madame Bonaparte, and every note that Piper would play would send me away, away across the fields. Oh, it's just a wonderful, wonderful line. And I suggested to my students that, now I'm so sort of taken with that song. I think it should be on the school curriculum because it contains everything. It contains, you know, national pride, you know, a kind of an appraisal of what art actually is and what art should do. And he delves into history, all from sitting in the Lobby Bar listening to musicians playing. I think it's wonderful. Yes, dig it out. It's a good one. Those are magic nights in the Lobby Bar. John Spillane. I think that's what the song is called anyway. But yes, so there we are. Anybody else in the house? Anyone else in the house? Let me just check that. There's a... Yes, we have. There is somebody else there. There is somebody else. I can see it in my stats, but I don't know who it is. But it'd be really nice to hear from you. Okay, so I'm going to do two things tonight. I've been meaning for a long time to get over to Scotland, to Glasgow and or Edinburgh to see the Scottish Colourists. And I was introduced to them by one of my students, Scottish, and she showed me a book that she had that was all about them. And so they were kind of contemporary with the Impressionists. I think sort of probably late stage Impressionists. You know, the ripples of Impressionism sort of spread out from France, and you know, they obviously reached these shores at some point anyway. And these four characters, there was Ferguson, Peploe, Harrington and Cadell, and they all kind of changed their way of working to work in this, you know, sunlight and colour, which is probably not something you get too much of in Scotland. It's like Ireland, isn't it? So it can be quite sort of damp and grey very often. So their work is imbued with this kind of continental colour, and they have a lovely impressionist way of suggesting what you're looking at, rather than beating you over the head with it like a hyperreal painter would do. And that's what I like. And so what I wanted to do was just talk about that for a bit first, and then do a little demonstration painting, not in the style of any of the Scottish colourists. It's just because of the day that's in it, I've tacked the two together and to get them out of the way at the same time. I went over on my... oh, Martin, how are you doing? Good to see you. Welcome back, and thanks for coming in again. Yep, and I don't know how much of that you heard. I'm just going to explain my little visit to see the Scottish Colourists in the Kelvin Grove Gallery in Glasgow. And I went there on my recently bought scooter that I have. I got myself a Honda Forza 300 scooter late last year, second hand, in order to do these trips. And so this is the first one that I've done abroad, as it were. So I drove to Larne, which is about half an hour on from Belfast, and took the ferry, went over, and then went up the Ayrshire coast, which is very beautiful, especially that first part when you get off the ferry and go up towards Girvan and just beyond. It's actually very beautiful, and out to sea you can see the island Ailsa Craig, which is kind of nicknamed Paddy's Milestone, because so many Irish were coming over from Donegal to work in Scotland that for some reason or other, I'm not sure of, that they would stop there. Maybe the boats needed to refuel in those days or whatever, but they would stop at Ailsa Craig and then hop on to, because Ailsa Craig is supposed to be about halfway. It didn't look halfway to me, it looked a bit further than that, to the Irish coast, Antrim. So anyway, I went over on my scooter, and I ended up sort of travelling around Glasgow on this scooter. And I went to Kelvin Grove Gallery, and I'm just going to... I took some photographs in the gallery. I made sure I was allowed to do it first. I didn't want to get thrown out. So let me just have a look at this. Now, great. So it does work. So we'll end with this one. So here's an image. Just a figure study, and look at that delineation around the arms, and you can't even see the eye. It's so simply done. I thought this might sort of inspire you. It's just I think it's well worth looking at these things, and especially if you're in the UK. I mean, it's all so close that if you're ever in Glasgow, you can go along and have a look at these things, or Edinburgh. Although I didn't get to Edinburgh in the end because. My daughter lives over in Edinburgh, so I had to spend a lot of the time, of course, sort of doing family stuff, whatever. So the next time I go, I'll go to Edinburgh and have a look at what they have there. And there's a reason, a second reason I went, is that one of my students at one time had in her possession, in Ireland, like one of Cadell's paintings of his studio. He often painted his studio, what was in it, and there's a particular red chair. So he did a lot of these red chair paintings, and she had one that she picked up in an auction for some phenomenally low price, like £1 or something like that, and sold it for thousands and thousands. Anyway, so lucky her. So it kind of intrigued me. So there's a nice picture of a figure. All the background's done simply. The paint is applied very, very simply, all with brushes now. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. Ooh. Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. A nice use of greens, and another one that's very simply executed as well. I would never think of doing clouds that simply. He's just delineated them. There's a lot of delineation going on, lines around things, and I really like that, I have to say. It fits in with my my philosophy in painting, which is try not to make things too real. And so here's another one that's very, very French, and it may even be in France. I didn't get to photograph the tickets that were applied beside the paintings, so you might have to just sort of take my word for some of this stuff. Here, look at that as an example of how loosely the paint is applied. If you can get that into your painting, I think it'd be well worth it. I mean, that was a very small painting, and yet the strokes, the brushwork and texture is so, you could almost say crude, but that would be sort of denying its beauty, really, and simplicity, which is an art in itself for me. So let's have a look at this painting. You can see it a little bit there. That these people were well able to to paint reality. They were all doing it before they sort of went down the Impressionist path. So it wouldn't ever be fair to say that's kind of how do you say, naive. They were striving for naivety, I think. Here we go. Look, there's a close-up of the same boats. And see how much paint they've applied. I love that. It's almost gratuitously thick in places. Look at that. Look at those strokes. Obviously done with bristle brushes. You can see the striations in the strokes. Here we go. I love this one. It's very, very much in the Impressionist mould. It's a pity I can't tell you who painted which paintings. I'll be able to tell in a couple of them, but not all of them. So, okay, we have a close-up. Here, I wanted to do a close-up of this one, just to show how there's a lot of paint in some strokes, and there's hardly any in other strokes. So this was painted on top of a kind of like a burnt umber wash by the looks of it. It looks kind of greyer than the one I use, which is burnt sienna, which would make it probably most likely to be burnt umber. But there are quite large parts of the canvas that aren't painted at all, apart from the wash. So that's something else to help you in your painting, is that you don't have to actually cover the painting or cover the surface if you have a wash, because the wash just comes through and does some of the work for you. Okay, so more simply applied strokes and delineations going on here. And let's go close up with this one. If you can see that, very simply low chroma painting, very little colour in it. That one is a peplo. In fact, I do remember that. That's a peplo. And he often did these delineated figures and painting, you know, sort of around the objects in his paintings. Now we're coming to some of the other figure work. I love the simplicity of those strokes in her blouse, and even in the background behind her. Lovely. And this one's a good one too. I can't remember which of the four it was, but look at the alizarin crimson strokes, you know, the delineations around her, the ear on the left and right, and over her shoulder, and the lovely green green shadows under her nose and under her chin, which are sort of picked up in the background or are reflections of the background. But that green is a cool colour, and so are the alizarin strokes around the face there, around the head. Yeah, loosely applied paint, lovely. And this is gorgeous. You can see the amount of paint is on that figure there. Yet how vague the details are. It's almost constructed out of. It's almost like a mosaic. Lovely. More green shadows on her right cheek. And this one is my favourite. Look at that neck. Some neck she has. And it has to be deliberate. And who that figure is, or what she had achieved, or what he was trying to say, I think it's Peplo. I'm not sure, it could be Harrington as well. I don't look, I mean, she looks as if she could kickstart a tractor or swim the Atlantic, doesn't she? And that is the North Sea behind her, I suppose. Would it be the North Sea or the Celtic Sea? Anyway, whatever it is. And I like that forthright look and simplicity of execution. But it's deceptive, because I don't think it's simple at all. I really like that one. Look at the delineations, the dark delineations on the right-hand side. Yeah, lovely. And one eye is treated different from the other by the looks of things. One eye, the eye on the right is kind of bigger than the eye on the left. But you don't read it that way. And there's the cool colours in the shadow of the nose and at the chin. I mean, it's almost stylized and almost graphical, almost like a print or something. Really like it. That's my favourite one. And there she is up close. Okay. What did you think of that? Eh? The Scottish Colourists. I mean, did you know about them? I'd heard them referenced before, but I didn't know anything about them. So I'm glad that I was kind of put in a position where I could go along and see them for myself. Really great. I only had an hour at the Kelvin Grove because I arrived a bit late, but it was well worth it. I didn't really look at anything else. They've got other work in there as well. They've got some craft stuff as well and industrial stuff, but it's well worth a visit. And it's a beautiful spot too, that place. Right, so and that just brings me on to the next thing, which is entirely unrelated, I suppose, which is what I'm going to paint. And what I'm going to paint is, oh sugar, that wasn't what I meant to do at all. Hang on, that one. So that is a place in Connemara, so west of Ireland, the very west, called Roundstone. It's just a little fishing village. Very beautiful place. You can't see, because the sky was so low that day, that there are actually mountains in the background there, and they're just completely obscured by the cloud. But sort of better for me, isn't it? I don't have to do any further descriptions. But that's what I'm going to paint, and I'm going to paint that in with knives. Let me just get rid of there. Okay, so let's have a look at the palette first of all. All right, this is what I'm going to use. Palette knife. Usually I'd kind of be using palette knife that shape, but I've kind of gotten very fond of this one here, because you've got a nice straight part there. You've still got a point and the curve there, and there's plenty of flat space there to work on. See if we can turn that around. You'd probably be able to see me talking. Where am I? There I am. There you are. And this one was just given to me the other day by one of my students. She said she wasn't using it, and she had plenty of them at home anyway. All right. And then just for some details and the drawing, I'm going to be using this short, round brush. Okay, so I'll put that phone beside me so I can check for chats or whatever. Right, so let's have a look at the paint, titanium white. I'm using a different palette this time, so titanium white, cadmium yellow, I suppose, what is it, cadmium yellow hue. Cadmium yellow, yeah, it's just cadmium yellow, it's not dark. Yellow ochre, cadmium red, dark, okay, cobalt blue, and burnt sienna, okay. So, and going back to the canvas, it's another linen canvas, okay. So I'm going to start painting now. Oh, just looking at the chats, and I see there, Manuel, you studied the text of a couple of songs, The Town I Love So Well. Yes, that was, oh, what's his name that wrote that? Gosh, it'll come to me, if I remember. Phil Coulter, isn't it? I think that was him that wrote that. Right, so I'm going to make up a drawing tone first, okay? Now, you can see what I've done. I've got a very long, I've got almost letterbox shape painting there, or photograph there. But I did that this week just so that it would sort of throw my students off balance a little bit, because when you're standing at the side of, of the ocean there like that, you don't have just that sort of composition to hand. You've got the rest of the world around to the right and to the left and up above, and even more land towards your feet. So you've got to choose the area to paint. So I wanted to just get them to paint to, oh, I've just knocked the camera, get them to have to decide what to paint rather than just copy what the photograph is. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to put a line across there, not because that's a a horizon or anything, because I want to just divide that, because the form factor, this is quite a high, it's kind of very, very sort of tall in comparison to its width, and I just want to bring it down a little bit so I can give myself a guide about where to put the horizon. So I want more sky than my photograph has, so I'm going to put that down there like that. Okay, and then that'll be the wall. Hang on, let me just move my reference over to the left hand side because I'm facing that direction. That'd be one to take out in the edit, won't it? Dragging my reference across and making an awful mess in the process. Right, okay, so yeah, so now I can see that a little bit better now. And I've got some vegetation about there, and so you can put the boat anywhere. You put the boat where it will serve the best purpose. Houses. Even if we're not painting with brushes, we can take some of the Scottish colourists and impressionists work to heart, can't we? We can sort of paint a bit like that, not worrying too much about the details. I'm going to put the sea up there a bit there. Okay, and I might move the wall over here a bit to give myself more vegetation. And now I'm going to paint a notan. It's going to change a brush to a slightly bigger brush. So I'm going to grab some more burnt sienna. There, that can all come down here like that. And there's no reason why you can't put a bit more vegetation here. For balance. Okay, and that can come that like that, then that'll be the roofs. And those, you can see sort of these things on top of the wall in the lower left hand corner. In fact, they're slates. They've been sort of they've been cemented onto the wall for people to put pints on. Of course. Yeah. Because you couldn't go to Roundstone and not have a pint. Maybe that would be there, and then that boat. Yeah, that boat can stay there, that's fine. And all of the rest of that is sky. Okay, so what I'm going to start out with is a few darks, okay? Do send some chats, because I can see chats when they come in from on my phone. Right, so I'm going to make up some darks. So blue and burnt sienna. And this will sort of give me the bones of the painting, I suppose. That'll do there. And the idea behind this is to stop you getting down into details. So you might get frustrated when you're painting because you can't get into details, but the idea is that you don't. It's counterproductive to get into details. And down here, it's just a description. So, That'll do there. And maybe there's a dark there. Give him a rag. Rag and clean the knife. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a green from yellow ochre, I should say, and blue. My aim is to make a low chroma painting in this kind. Remember that greyish one that I was showing you? So yellow ochre, instead of using the cadmium yellow, will give me a much duller, more distant vegetation. Okay. And then there are some islands there, I just want, or some land at least coming along there. Next thing, I'm going to do the before the whole palette gets into a mess. I'm going to do those buildings. So white, yellow, cadmium yellow, and also yellow ochre, and a little touch of red, I think, be nice. So it's not the brightest bright. It's kind of the next bright. The brightest brights are on those boats. So perhaps something like that will do. There, and then down there. Okay, that'll be fine. That's fine. Maybe just bring that down a wee bit. Okay, that'll do. Next thing, I think the sky. Let's move that off to the side. So more white, and blue. Now the sky is a grey, and I'm going to go for a grey, and the way to make a grey is all three colours, or all colours plus white. So some yellow, a bit of red, a bit of blue. A nice light grey. I need to make sure I make enough, because I won't over mix it. It's very pleasant to work paint like this with a knife, I think. Let me see, a bit more yellow. Yeah, that's nice for a base colour. All right. I've got these cameras in my way. The usual thing. Be careful I don't whack them. Like I just did there. And this is, I don't know whether you've ever tried it, it's a very quick way of painting. You do cover a lot of ground very fast. And I always think, like painting with brushes, let your strokes show. There's ridges, and rich ridges of colour, of paint. And I'm going to make a mix for the sea, darker, slightly greener. So blue, yellow and white. I can put a bit of the yellow ochre in there. Let's make sure I've got enough. That should be enough there. A little bit more blue, I think. So this is the blocking in stage, just like it is in any other painting. This is when Archestra was talking about the butteriness of paint. And it's in this circumstance that you really sort of do appreciate that. So that can come along there like that. Okay. That's that blocked in. Clean the knife down. Let's make a green. So blue, yellow. So I'm going to make a kind of a very reddish green first of all. Put a bit of red into that green. Okay. So it's quite dark initially. Okay. Don't want to get into too much detail just yet. That can go up there like that. Clean the brush down. Now I'm going to make a much redder mix of that green. There's a lot of red in green areas. So if you just make a green out of yellow and blue, it can look quite toxic. Okay, got that. Next thing I'm going to try and do that wall. I need a dark side, which is based around blue. I'll just mix it into that dark that I painted with initially, a bit more blue, so it's bluish. I'm trying to avoid these cameras. That'll do there. Okay, and then the top of the wall, I'm going to make warmer to distinguish it from the paint around it. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Oh my goodness, let me do this. That way I can find it for the edit later. Right, so red plus yellow ochre. Can you see? That's it. I'll bring that over where you can see it. There. Bit of cadmium yellow and a bit of blue, because it is a grey after all, so it does have all the three colours in it, but it's mostly going over towards a kind of an orangey russet colour. Put that in there like that. I'm getting plenty of texture. I'm not worrying about slates being cemented to the wall. It's irrelevant in this case. And the road, likewise, I think a kind of an orangish colour, but lighter than. I'm going to put some white into what I've just made, a bit more yellow. That's blocked in as well. And then just going back to my light colour, I'm going to put in some indication of the houses around there. I think that's the painting blocked in. Oh, maybe I could... that boat, I don't like the fact that it's got a blue hull. I want a red one. So I'm just going to place that boat in. There, that'll do there for the moment, so I remember where it is. Now, lighter tones in that vegetation. Lighter tones, where are we? So I'm going to get some more yellow, mix it into that green that I made before. Okay, and then I can put those in there like that. And then there's variations around there too. I'm just going to sort of do scubble in the paint there. I'm not worried too much about the accuracy of that, because it's just an abstract really here. There, put some in there as well in my makey-uppy part. Get that paint off the knife again. Do you know what, I might actually just use a bit of paper towel, preserve that rag at least a little bit. Yeah, use a paper towel instead. There. Okay, now I can grab some white. I'm going to put in some variation in that sky now. Maybe a slightly bluish. Oh, I put a bit of red in there as well. I like pinks in skies. Just as long as it's different, and this is going on, it's very thick. And that way I can shape these roofs as well. Down here, maybe I can fill in those parts up there. I might change my knife to see how the other one sort of fares as well. Let's put that down there like that, and I can sculpt this, push that in there a little bit, okay, and grab some of that and push that horizon up a little bit. Okay, and the same with the sea. A little bit of a bluish colour wouldn't do any harm. And the green sea, I just mixed it into that green that I made earlier on, that kind of sea green colour. I don't want to go too dark. Put in some variations in there. And bring the sea up to that pier. Sculpt in some very inlets where the water's kind of reaching in a little bit, and also here. Okay, got something there. I want to get a bit of blue actually into that road as well, because I don't like just single sort of tones or single hues in areas of paint. I always like to put in some variation in temperature and colour. Push that road up a little bit. Grab that. And you can imagine that if you're sort of if you were there in Roundstone, the weather was a bit like this, you might be cold, you know, it might be threatening rain, which kind of often is, and you could you'd want to be sort of getting your painting done fairly quickly in order to get down into that cafe, which is off to the left. Now, what am I going to do? Oh yes, I was going to change my brush and see how this one works, this squared off one. So I'm going to put in some colour in that, some nice sort of pink first of all, because there are some pinks there, there's some pink flowers, so white and cadmium red, maybe a touch of yellow into it as well. And just flatten the brush or the palette knife onto the surface, so it pulls the paint off rather than you applying it, if you see what I mean. And some red as well, likewise, because paintings need a bit of red, I think, especially these ones set in quite a low chroma environment. Put some there as well. And who's to know? Who's to know that they weren't actually there? Now I'm going to push up the paint, how would you say, the vegetation a little bit, making a green. Making sure I've got plenty of it. And likewise, you know, same with the pinks. I can just put the flat of the knife onto the painting, and the painting kind of basically it by capillary action, I suppose, pulls the paint from the surface of the knife. It's quite satisfying. It's also random, so it's hard to sort of you can't control it like you can with a brush. Okay, some darks around there, the houses, just to delineate those houses a little bit. It's a dark, it's not black. I'm having to contort my arm into all sorts of ways just to... You're just giving an impression that there's, you know, windows and doors and gaps between houses and things like that. Let me see, what can I do here? Just want to make a slightly different tone for the road. It didn't come out too different, did it? Hang on, let me put in a bit more red. Oh yeah, that's good. Just for the sake of variation, really. And let's try a kind of a purpley colour, blue and red and white. Kind of a cool purpley, violety colour. Put a bit more red into that. Ah yeah, put that into the wall there. And across the wall too. Okay, so that pier, I need a nice sort of a lighter, warmer tone just to go across. This is the walkway on the pier, I suppose. Can't do much oh, that's better. There, that'll do. Because I can go back in with the dark. Yeah, like that, and across there. And I might put in a bit of some warmer tones up there as well. Slightly orangey. Okay, and then back in with the sea. There. And now that boat. So let's get sort of a nice light warm colour. I'll mix it in with this warm over here that I used for the houses earlier on, the face of the houses. And I'm just going to put in details, or I would say, how would you say it? It'd be the detail giving the illusion of function. So you're supposed to just read the fact that there must be boats there, if there are all these little variations, rather than painting boats. And what about some colours? Maybe a couple of brightish blue hulls. Let's mix that up there. Make sure there's plenty of paint on the knife. And some reds. Sure, there have to be boats, don't they? And just finish off with a couple of lights as well. And now there's a few darks wouldn't go amiss around here. The edge of the village. Put in some greens in that wall. And now, oh yeah, nobody told me that I hadn't done that boat yet. Hang on, that was it was just lying there, sinking. A dark underneath it. Hang on, let me grab that. And then reshape it with the tone on the outside. What was I doing? Oh yes, okay. Now I'm just going to grab the brush. Okay, just to do some finishing strokes. So let's make a darker red. And then a dark. Dark here. I'm just going to put in some sort of strokes there. Get rid of that thing there. A bit of pink. And now I'm going to grab some grey from here to make up a grey. It turned out that one of my students, her uncle lived there. Well, there you go. And I might just put in some strokes there. What else have I got? Make sure there's some texture, raising little ridges. That milky kind of sky that you often get around these here parts. And I might just lighten some of that road. Making sure it's warm. Now I put this thing onto the board with blue tack, so I'm going to make sure. So this is just yet another way of departing from your reference. My God, I nearly took the thing fell out of my hand. Hang on. That would have been a gas thing, wouldn't it? Hang on, I just need to sort of fix that little bit. I nearly. There. There's another one for the editor, isn't it? It's very difficult to actually handle these things without getting yourself absolutely covered in paint. So that's the painting there. Let's see if you can see the oh yeah, the texture. Oh, hang on, that might be better, mightn't it? Don't know whether that's helping. It's going to be a good long while before this is able to be handled properly. Can I actually sort of show this? Maybe I'll show it on the other camera, the palette camera. Does that help? I have to wait until I actually can photograph it and then do the edited video. Teacher. There you go. Let me know what you think. Would you do it? Would you paint with a palette knife? You could actually do the whole thing with one palette knife. And you don't have to stick to palette knives either. You can sort of do a mixture of brush and palette knife work. There are no rules. There are only sort of suggestions and guidelines. So, anyone there? Have I put you to sleep? You can see in the background there, but that's one of my cubist paintings. Actually, sort of comes out quite bright in this light. So you all okay? Somebody say something. And any suggestions you might have would be wonderful for future live streams. I thought I did quite well today getting this thing off the ground. I seem to have a little bit more fluency in understanding the software, so it kind of went well. Let me see if there's anything there. Let me turn it over to the oh, I see. Do you know what? Oh, here we go. it obviously sort of cut out my phone. I couldn't see the chats. I'm terribly sorry. I'm just reading them now. Oh, Emmanuel, you tried to paint along. Yeah, okay, all right. That's a thing to do, I suppose. Better off painting. Yeah, I suppose it could help. I've got many more videos on the channel, which could help, which are simpler, I suppose. It's always a bit of a chore painting from a photograph, I find, because it kind of tries to drag you along. Let me have a look. Miles, you're in. I didn't see you there, so yeah, sorry. I was relying on my phone to show me the chats, and it must have cut itself off, so I didn't see them. Thank you, Miles, and thank you, Ivor. Use one brush and acrylics. Yeah, Emmanuel. Yes. Painting with a knife and acrylics is worth doing as well, but make sure you have the professional quality acrylics. I always think that the difference between student quality oils and decent ones, brand ones, and the professional quality oils is kind of less than it is in acrylics. For example, in Winsor & Newton, I think it's Galeria, isn't it, that is their student range. I don't think they're anywhere near as good as the professional quality ones. So I just like using the professional quality Winsor & Newton acrylic paints, or golden acrylic paints, because they only do artist quality ones. Who else do I use? Golden and Sennelier. I really like Sennelier's artist quality acrylics. But I love acrylics. The demon's mine is the sneeze. Yeah, there's something in this. This studio, I wish you could see it. It's seen better days. So it's I think it's very damp, and there's probably a lot of dust in here. So it gets because I have a stove, which I light during the winter and the summer. Actually, this summer. Let's have a look. Palette knife. Yes. Stop trying to get details in palette knives, and then you'll be a lot happier. Use it to actually sort of become much looser. Don't get the chip. That's another thing. That's another good bit of advice that I hope I can give you. Let me see. Where are you? Oh yeah. Okay. Here we go. Is a good example, right? Professional quality palette knife, student quality palette knife, and I got that in a kind of like how would you say, a thrift store. We call them pound shops, or one of those things. It's called Mr. Price here. It's very good. I like a lot of their stuff, but it is cheap, and you can see that they're almost exactly the same size and same form. Even the handle, same shape, length, size, weight, but the difference is see this, the way it flexes. Hang on, let's see if you can see it against my shirt. Really easy to flex. Got a lovely bend in it. So see, getting paint all over his hand. This one, you can hardly move it at all. You could practically murder somebody with this knife. It's so stiff, and that would be hard to paint with. I think hard to get the same kind of effect, especially when you need a little bit of flex sometimes for to actually get the two surfaces together. So yeah, I think it's worth spending a bit of money. I mean, I think it was a packet of 5 of these things for €10 or something, and this is probably about €6 or €7 on its own. Actually, that's not a bad price either, because you don't need to buy too many of these things anyway, do you? Because you get used to one shape. There are certain shapes that you would seldom use. Let me have a look. I mean, I seldom use that shape, for example, because I tend to paint sort of on smaller canvases, and that could do for a large canvas. That for me is too big. That was just about right. Yeah, I like that one. So yeah, you just need to buy maybe 2 or 3 or something like that. Get used to them, and then you're laughing. Excuse me, or coughing as I am. Let me go back to the things. Let me see. Started using heavy body acrylics. Yes, heavy body acrylics, really good. I don't know what you'd have in Switzerland. Would you have Winsor and Newton? Because I think they might be French or they're English. Anyway, but you do get them in France. Sennelier are very, very good. And Royal Talons. I like Royal Talons as well. Oh, what is the Swiss brand? Write it down. Be interested to see. Because testing paints is another thing altogether. And I will do a live stream on testing paints. You know those paints that you get that are like that, and they come in little tubes, and you get them, you know, every year, a couple of times a year in Lidl or Aldi. No, waste of time. You'll only frustrate yourself. And if you have them, give them to the kids. Yeah. So that'll do for tonight. I hope that was useful for you. I mean, I would never call myself a palette knife painter, but it's really good exercise to get you to loosen up and bring that back into your brush painting, you know, if that's your thing, I suppose. So Lascaux, okay, like the caves, isn't it? There's caves, the Lascaux caves, where they found cave paintings. Yes, I must look them up. Thank you for the heads up on that one. So listen, to everybody, good night. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm sorry about yesterday. I actually I was having an eye problem, and so I went into the optometry centre and they gave me an appointment. Turns out there's nothing to really worry about, apart from the fact I'm getting old, I suppose, which is I don't know about you, but I get loads of these floaters in my eyes. It's horrible. Listen, have a lovely evening and great weekend, and cheerio. I'm going to attempt to end this stream now. Bye all. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.